Hi, I'm here to talk about my interview that I conducted last week with our Director of Records or Registrar at Dalton State College. We talked about the importance of program evaluation and the things that he thought were good and bad about having to do that in our offices. So, as a brief overview, he said he thought the most important thing is to maintain compliance with either federal or state or local or USG or whoever, and that was the one thing that he talked about. And also feeding information to the administration at the college so that they know what we think is important and what we found that is important. And it also helps us to maintain accountability as well as helping us to maintain our accreditation when those times become necessary. So he thought, in his opinion, that program reviews need to be done by the people who do the work. I think that was one of the most important things I picked up from our interview, is that he talked about the people who do the work will be able to find the purpose in what they're doing, and they can determine whether the programs are delivering what they're supposed to, or if our offices are doing that. And the most important thing, and he asked me to underline it, is that we need to make evidence-based decisions about continuing, modifying, or stopping to doing what we're doing. So evaluations need to look at the broader pictures in our offices, but it needs to be done by the people who are actually doing the work. Another thing he talked about is the reluctance of people to do these evaluations. And that's something that we've struggled with in our office, and that we do a lot of evaluations, but no one ever really takes the time to look at it or to change the way we do business based on what we find from the evaluations. So one thing that he said he thought would be important is to know that it's meaningful and that what we're doing is something that we'll use to make future decisions, and that you should own your own data. And that was one of the challenges he talked about, is that, people a lot of times will be told, this is what I want your goals to be, and in that case it's kind of hard to embrace that goal and try to meet that goal if somebody says this is what you have to do rather than you coming up with your own ideas about what to do. He talked about people not really liking to have people looking over their shoulders, and in a way it feels that way when you do evaluation. And that he was saying that you need to involve everyone in the office, because that way that they're taking the reins and that they don't feel like somebody's just looking over their shoulder. And you need to make sure that they understand, the people in your office understand why you're doing it, that it's not to get someone in trouble, that it's to improve what we're already doing. And the bottom line in what he talked about was that it's growth. That's what we're looking for, growth and improvement, and that it helps the individuals in your office if they understand the bigger picture of where we're going. So I think in my interview with him, one of the most important things that we talked about was allowing the people in the office to come up with the goals. I know at my school we have had evaluation teams in the past, and we've had our strategic plan, and we've had our annual reports. I'm sure that I could not tell you a lot of the goals in the student affairs office, and a lot of the people in my office wouldn't be able to tell you the goals in our offices. So what we've worked on this year, there are 6 people who work in my office, and so we've tried to come up with 3 goals. I didn't want to do 6 because I thought that would be a lot to keep up with, but we're trying to come up with 3 goals so that each person in our office can develop their own form of evaluation for their own program. I've got a person who does work study in my office, and so this year she has come up with a survey, and then also my VA person has come up with a survey, and they've come up with different points that they wanted to look at it, and different things, the way they're evaluating their own programs. And then at the end of the year, at evaluation time for employee evaluations, then I'll go back and we'll look at that and see what we can come up with and how we can change it. So I think those are the important things, and I think out of that interview, the most important thing I gleaned from my talk with him is that you have to make sure people understand the purpose of evaluation, and that they don't need to feel like you're looking over their shoulders, and they need to own their own data, and they need to understand their goals and where they're going. So I think it's something that seems like a no-brainer to us, but a lot of times we don't do those things in the real world. And I think as a director, a lot of times I get caught up and think, well, I've got to make these goals up, I've got to make this, nobody's going to look at it anyway, and that's a waste of everybody's time. So that's what we have started to do in my office, is we've looked at one section at a time, and that's something that he encouraged me to do, and that's what he's done in his office. Let people own it, let them come up with their own goals in collaboration with the directors, and then you're going to come up with a better process in your office. Thank you.